Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA's small business. I'm a little bit nervous right now. I felt really nervous clicking the button just now because I have all this new stuff going on that I just put together in the last 30 minutes from Best Buy because something wasn't working. But I think we're doing okay so far. This is the podcast supporting Central PA's small business. There, I messed that up. And today we're going to be talking about reinventing and rejuvenating your spaces, doing some remodeling to your house or your business with RossGarner of Creative Building Concepts. And we will get to him in a minute. First, I am Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketing geek right here in Central PA. I grew up on the hill, went to Mechanicsburg High School, go Wildcats, went up to Penn College of Technology in Williamsport, where the Little League World Series just happened. So that's a fun fact about Central PA. Everybody watching this is from Central PA, though. But contact me if you need to buy or sell a home. Yeah. We still need inventory like crazy. Call me, text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We still need inventory, but it has died down just slightly. So it's not quite as hard as it was for buyers. If you want to subscribe to our weekly email, go to supportcentralpa.com to get networking, mixer updates and invites, episode announcements, and exclusive special offers, of which you will have one from Ross today. And what else? A reminder to ask a question in the comments. If we don't see it while we're going through, we'll come back and answer it later. Or if you just know one of us, Ross or myself, please say hi and say where you're watching from. We know you're in Central PA, so don't say I'm watching from Central PA. Say I'm watching from Gettysburg or Halifax, or where are you at right now, Ross?
I am in Mechanicsburg.
Mechanicsburg. If you're Mechanicsburg, you know I love Mechanicsburg, so hit it up in the comments if you're in Mechanicsburg. And a reminder that all the replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and soon on iTunes and all Spotify and all those places soon. Got all my new equipment here, so maybe I should start uploading them there soon. So I will shut up now, and let's bring in our guest, RossGarner of Creative Building Concepts. They do remodeling to homes and businesses. Hello, Ross. Thanks for Thanks. You can tell I'm way off. Thanks for being here, Ross.
Hi, Derek. Thanks for having me today.
Let's start by telling us a little bit about your background. I saw in your bio that you did not grow up in Pennsylvania. So tell us a little bit about the place you grew up.
I did not grow up here. I grew up in Southern Maryland, south of DC, about 45 minutes or an hour. I was there until I headed off for college, and it had gotten overdeveloped a lot when I was growing up. I kind of knew I wasn't probably going to be back to that area. So I went to school and actually got a degree in wildlife biology and environmental science, which I then proceeded to do absolutely nothing with after college, as most of us. Got into outdoor education actually for a long time. I was leading kayak trips and working at some camps, and moved to Pennsylvania originally in 2005 to work at the Diacon Wilderness Center in Boiling Springs, which was a program where we took adjudicated teenagers out for a month at a time in the woods and led them through, backpacking and canoeing and climbing and all sorts of other outdoor activities, which is incidentally where I ended up meeting my now business partner. He and I were both trip leaders there. And then I moved into the office for a while and then got really tired of being in the office at 25, 26, whatever that was. And decided to go into construction. Hadn't really done a lot of true construction growing up, but my dad never paid anyone to do anything, and he had a couple of rental properties, and so I was always working on properties with him from the time I was little until I headed out for college. So kind of went back to construction. Built my own home in 2010, moved into that, and then at that point decided to go full-time, starting Creative Building Concepts. And so that was that. We started in 2010 and have been growing steadily ever since.
So growing up in Southern Maryland, give me a little bit about the geography, because I'm terrible at this. Is that like a beach town, or is that like an inland town, or what's that like in that area?
It's inland. We were pretty close to the Chesapeake Bay. So we were not over on the eastern shore closer to the ocean, but we were near all the bays and the tributaries of the Potomac River and the Chesapeake and the Patuxent. So I spent a lot of time on the water as a kid, fishing and all sorts of things, hanging out around there, getting into trouble with friends.
So is that where the love of wildlife and the outdoor stuff came in? Were you always doing that? Did your dad do it?
Yeah, my dad did it. So I grew up hunting and fishing and spending a lot of time outside. I was in the Boy Scouts and did a lot of camping, and more on the hunting and fishing side and less on the kind of outdoor adventure side. That kind of came about later. It was always something I was really interested in, but didn't really have anyone that I knew growing up that did any of it. So it always kind of felt like a pipe dream. And then as I was in college and getting out of college, I started getting more and more into that and finding ways to make that a reality, and then was able to get paid for it for a while, which was really fun in my young 20s. Not a lot of money in it, but it was a lot of fun right out of college.
So what college did you go to? Did you say?
I was in Frostburg State in Western Maryland in the mountains.
Okay. Is it known for its wildlife or biology program, or was it just the setting that drew you to it?
A little bit of both. It does have one of the best wildlife and environmental science programs in Maryland. And then the setting was also really nice because it was very remote. It was back up in the mountains. If you're familiar with like Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania area, it's just south of there and very similar settings. Very beautiful area. Lots of state lands and things to go out and run around on.
What were the other choices? Did you look at anything else? Anything in like West Virginia or something? Or?
I looked at a few other places. I actually spent a year in Minnesota at a school called St. John's, and that did not work out. Didn't really care for their program very much, and ended up transferring back to Frostburg. So when I made that transfer, Frostburg was really the only one that I was really focused on because I knew they had the program that lined up with what I thought I wanted to do at that point in life.
And what was that? That was going to be my next question with a wildlife biology. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
what was the plan to do?
Yeah, wildlife biology and forestry. So most of our studies in school were on setting up biology studies and ecology studies of local wildlife. Oftentimes the wildlife studies would be indicators of overall environmental health of a specific area. When I went to school in Western Maryland, the Maryland DNR was getting really close to starting to allow bear hunting again. And so a lot of the grad students and professors were doing research on bear populations and things in the area. So I worked with a lot of them to do some of those studies, which was a great experience. We did a lot of studies on frogs and lizards. A lot of those are really good indicator species for how healthy the environment is as a whole. So there's a lot of stuff like that. So it would have, presumably would have led to working for some sort of a natural resources agency, probably through one of the states, had I stuck with it.
Gotcha. And you did actually work in the field when you got out. You didn't directly go to do something completely unrelated. You mentioned Diacon, and most of the people around here know about Diacon. I drive past it actually every day going to my favorite hiking spot. And I see Facebook ads. They're good at Facebook ads when they have the Diacon Wilderness Run or whatever it is. Yeah. Maybe it's a bike. It's something like that. I haven't done it yet.
They do their adventure race there every year now.
Okay. Did you do it?
Yep. I've done it once. It's been a couple of years since I did it. But.
Okay. Actually, that's a good segue because I did see in your bio that you like a lot of the same things. You got a lot of keywords in there that I'd be searching and looking up. So You do the rock climbing and the mountain biking. Is the mountain biking single track or is that rail trails or tell me about all of the stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go biking anywhere. If I'm taking my son, we're usually going on the rail trails. He started going on some easier single track with me. But if I'm just going with friends, I'm usually looking for more just the single track. There's that great spot in Carlisle right near the Dickinson practice fields that has it's nice, easily accessed. Has some fun little trails in there.
Sure. And then rock climbing, what do you do? Do you like top rope? Do you boulder? Do you go to Climbnasium? What do you hit up there?
So the Climbnasium is really easy for just trying to fit in a little bit of climbing during the week. So my business partner and I both are climbers. He and I both have memberships there. And then I try to.
Have I seen you there? Do you climb? Are you there a lot?
Well, I have not been there as much the last year or so. I was there a bunch in like April, May, and June. I was getting ready for a climbing trip out in California. But then I haven't been there much since that trip came back. Just been busy with everything else that life throws at you. But yeah, I'm there on and off. So I'll go, really religiously once or twice a week for 6 or 8 months. And then I'll have a break where I'm not there nearly as often.
Yeah, I feel like I go that way too, especially if you like mountain biking like I like, and mountain biking and kayaking and all, you name it, I'll go do it. So it kind of sometimes you need a change. You're a little bit sick of the climbing and you want to go bike. I've been waiting for a part for my bike for going on about 3 months now. And I'm about to freak out because I climb a lot. Everybody kind of knows me for climbing, but mountain biking is my first love, and I'm dying right now. So what else do you do? Rock climbing, mountain biking. What else was on there?
Climbing is my first love. Mountain biking, I've been getting into a little bit more here the last year or so. I've been enjoying that a lot. But really climbing, mountain biking, I just do a lot of hiking and backcountry camping when I have time to get out. Those are kind of my three big ones. And I still go hunting and fishing, although not nearly as much as I did when I was a teenager.
And then do you do like the Appalachian Trail? Do you take trips places? Do you do guided tours when you go? You say backcountry. Is it basically like a few days backpacking?
Yeah, I don't usually do guided unless there's some reason to need a guide for a specific area. But generally, we'll just go camping and climbing somewhere for a couple of days. We'll head down to West Virginia to Seneca Rocks a good bit. Been down to the Red River Gorge in Kentucky and the New River Gorge in West Virginia. The Gunks in New York. And then if I have time to take a longer trip, we usually try to fly out somewhere. We did one of the best trips I've ever done was down to Mexico a few years ago in a place called El Potrero Chico, which is these really large sport climbs, multi-pitch sport climbs. They can get up to like 2,000 feet. It's really incredible stuff. And so my business partner and myself and one other guy that we climb with a lot flew down there and spent about 10 days down there climbing. It was phenomenal.
Wow, that's intense. You gotta, I'll wait for the invite next trip.
Hey, let's go. I'll meet you up at the Climbnasium. We can go climbing sometime.
Yeah, totally. I never top rope because I just kind of go whenever I go and boulder mostly, but that'd be fun to actually top rope for once.
Okay, have you never done it?
I do top rope, and I top rope by myself like all the time with a gree and stuff because it's like you said, everybody has kids and stuff to do, and if I want to go, you got to do it somehow. So it's just easier to boulder these days or just to get a workout in or whatever. But that's awesome. So you're at the Diakon Wilderness Center and you said you met your now business partner there. First of all, tell us who that is. You can shout him out and then tell us how you were related in the job there.
So his name is Ben Havens, and he joined Diakon at about the same time as I was moving into the office at Diakon. So I was taking over kind of some of the management, and then I was also the climbing instructor for a while. And Ben had a pretty similar background. He'd done more climbing than I had, and so we got along really well. We worked together there, and then I left Diakon and started doing construction. And he came and did some work for me on and off when he wasn't leading the trips in the woods, and we worked really well together in construction too. And then we decided to start the company together. And so, at that point in time, go ahead.
Sorry, is that what you guys did there? You led like hikes and guided outdoor stuff with. It wasn't on like the admin side. You were actually out there guiding kids around and doing activities and things. Yeah.
So when I started, I was in the field all the time. So we'd lead 30-day trips. You'd have a team of 3 instructors, and you'd pretty much be out for the whole 30 days. Mostly hiking along the Appalachian Trail and doing a lot of other activities along the way, whether it was canoeing or climbing or anything else. So we do some community service days with them, but they slept outside the entire 30 days. And so then when you weren't on one of those, you would usually have in between your 30-day courses, you'd have anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks off, and you got paid year round. And so then you'd just be able to take that time off to do whatever you wanted, which is kind of nice. We travel or go do some other trips with adults and not with angry teenagers.
Wow, that's really cool. So I know of Diakon, but I've never really known what they do, and this is kind of a great time to highlight something. They're Central PA based, right?
They are, yeah. Diakon does. It's a Lutheran-based organization, and they do quite a bit of other things as well. The Wilderness Center has a few different programs, all working with teenagers. And then Diakon as a parent company also does some adoption and counseling services and senior living facilities, I believe. They have a lot of stuff in the kind of the humanities sector that they try to help out with.
And then the outdoor stuff, is it all those 30-day things, or are they week-long things? Are there day camps? What do they offer as far as that goes?
They have changed what they offer some now, and I'm not totally up to speed on what they have. When I was there, they had the program that I worked for, which is the 30-day wilderness program. where the kids came for the whole 30 days and then they were gone. And then they also had a weekend program where kids came for 10 weekends in a row, but were back living at home during the week. And then they had more of a traditional residential treatment program where the kids would come for 3 to 6 months. They were living inside. It was more, it was more like a boarding school type place. And so they had those three different ones, and all of them had some outdoor components to it. Even the residential one, they would do a lot of some of the adventure activities, but they wouldn't be camping the whole time.
And what's the focus on these things? Is it mostly like survival skills and actual outdoor stuff, or are you also teaching them coping skills and sharing and cooperation and all that stuff? There's a lot of that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of relationship-based stuff. They have to learn to work together as a group. And so a lot of it is coping skills and communication and how to help them be successful when they go back to their homes at the end of the program. It's less kind of hardcore survival skills. They're camping out the whole time. They're cooking their own meals over a fire, but we're not making them do bow drill fires. They get matches to start the fire. They have to carry their backpacks, but they get regular sleeping bags and everything else. They don't have to build a shelter for themselves every night. They would set up a tent or a tarp and you get to sleep in there. So it's kind of a nice balance between the two.
Yeah. Do they do stuff like that? Like build a shelter class or something just for fun, like that kind of thing?
Sometimes we would do that just for fun. If we had a good group who was able to get through the stuff that we were required to do with them and we had some extra time, we'd do some things like shelter building classes and And
then is it reserved for like disadvantaged kids and it's free to them and that's why people need to support and go to the wilderness run so you can help support the programs?
It was all so Diacon is all nonprofits. Those programs were pretty much all court appointed. The kids that were there were either in juvenile probation or in children and youth services, and so they were being sent there as kind of their they don't want to use the word punishment, but that was basically their punishment and their kind of reconciliation for whatever crime that they had, whatever laws they'd broken. And so, anything that they do, they had a few different events during the year that would just be fundraising events. And most of the money comes from the counties through the juvenile probation or children youth services. But we always needed additional money for, various upkeep and things around the wilderness center.
Sounds fantastic to me. They sentence me to 30 days in the woods. What crime do I have to do for that? You're going to sentence me to, most kids are not used to that though. Probably.
No, they're not.
Sure.
It was a really good job when I was younger. I really enjoyed it.
So it's kind of like Outward Bound. We all kind of grew up knowing what Outward Bound was, although that you can do electively too, right?
That's volunteer. But very similar program setup. Gotcha.
And does Diacon also do like volunteer or elective classes?
No.
It's all, gotcha.
It's all court ordered.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for indulging me about Diacon because I've never talked about it really. And I do see their Facebook ads. They're probably the best nonprofit at Facebook ads. And they almost have me. I've clicked on it a couple times and the date hasn't worked out for me yet, but I really want to do that. Maybe we should do it together. All right. So tell us a little bit about your partner. So you were working at Diacon, you started talking to your partner. It was a construction business from the beginning. That's what you wanted to start, or how did the process of quitting and starting your own business go?
Well, so neither one of us knew anything about running a business when we first started this, and we made, every mistake in the book as we were trying to learn. It started off just general construction. We didn't really have any sort of specialty, but we have always done primarily remodeling work. And so it started off with much smaller remodeling projects. He and I were both in the field, so we were kind of doing everything typical to most small businesses. We were out there swinging a hammer during the day and building things, and then we were invoicing and doing the marketing and doing all the other stuff in the evenings. And we grew to a point with that where it was just kind of unsustainable. We were both tearing our hair out and didn't really have time for anything else in our lives, and then kind of had to decide if we were going to take the plunge to try to grow to the next level, which we did. I think maybe 6 years ago now, he and I both came out of the field and just started focusing on the business management side of it, some various pieces in there. and have been able to continue to grow. Got some really good people on the team. The office manager, that person is always absolutely critical to everything running smoothly. So she joined us. He and I came out of the field. I now focus on everything on kind of the front end of the project. So when somebody calls in looking for a project, they'll talk to me first. We'll kind of have a phone conversation and see if it feels like it's going to be a good fit for both of us, the customer and me. And then if that works out, then my designer and I will go out and meet with them, kind of do a design consultation piece, talk with them about what their options are, what makes sense. And we try to be pretty upfront with them on budget. A lot of people have very unrealistic ideas on budgets for larger remodeling projects. And so, if they like what we have to say there, then we would get them to enter into a design agreement. So we would basically take about 2% of whatever our ballpark cost is going to be for the project. And we do that as a separate contract up front for the design. And they get, what is essentially kind of a full architectural set of plans for their project, which makes everyone's life a lot easier, and avoids the really awkward conversations at the end where clients are saying, well, that's not what I was picturing this was going to look like. They know exactly what it's going to look like before we get there. They get full 3D renderings of everything, and they can do a walkthrough of what their house will look like when we're done with it on the computer. So that design process takes a while, and then it moves into estimating. Once we have their stamp of approval on the designs, I will take those designs and then get from that kind of ballpark budget cost that we had into something much more detailed scopes of work and allowances for all their finished materials. And then we move that into the contract phase. And so I kind of head up the whole front half of that from the time they call until their contract is signed. And then from there, I pass everything off to Ben and our field team. That he kind of functions as project manager and oversight on a lot of the field stuff. And then we have another field superintendent that works really closely with Ben. And they will take the projects that are sold and get them moving and get them in the schedule and get everything organized and ordered and kind of all lined up for doing the project.
So you are a design build, as they say. And for those that don't know, maybe it means you don't have to go out and find an architect or some designer or you could if you want, I suppose, but you don't have to go out and find this person to design it and then go find somebody who can do the drywall and find somebody that can do this and that. It's basically you come to this one-stop shop and they design the whole thing. And we can talk about that design because that's pretty crazy these days, how you can show people what they're going to have. But you come to this one place that designs it and builds it. When you design it, do you have to get some kind of architect stamp on it, or depends what you're doing?
It depends on what you're doing. And so, as you said, design build, we want them to come to us. We do work with some other architects in the area. So, kind of the big key is not even that they have to come to us for design, but everyone has to have a set of plans. I won't even estimate it without a set of plans. It's too much just kind of guessing and shooting in the dark. And so we see, a lot of remodelers that will say, free estimates. And the free estimates, what we have found over the years is those can be very tricky. You can get an estimate, but you don't really know exactly what's happening on the project. And so what the builder is estimating may not necessarily be what the client is actually hoping for, because there's no really fleshed out design yet and set of plans. And so a couple of years ago, we were kind of recognizing this as being a problem more and more, and got away from just trying to do the estimates first, brought on a really talented designer to work with us. And so now if people come to us and they don't have a design, we work them through our design process. And if they come to us and they've already had an architect do it, then we can take their set of plans from the architect and we can estimate it based on that. And that has worked out really well.
So would it be true or fair to say that if you're paying for your plans, especially if it's like if it's just paint this wall, replace this drywall on this one wall, you could probably estimate that. But if it's a full, kitchen, full basement remodel or finishing or whatever, is it fair to say that if you're paying for the design part of it, your estimated total cost will be more accurate?
Yes, absolutely.
Less change orders, et cetera.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, less change orders, less problems during the design, during the construction phase, there becomes a lot less problems. And so you do pay a little bit more upfront for your design, whether you come to us or whether you go to an architect, but then your finished product is, exponentially better. And as long as you have communicated with your designer or architect, it should be lined up exactly with what you want for your space, whether it's your home or your business. That really,
so for pricing, go ahead.
It just heads off a lot of problems that we can get figured out before anyone is in your home swinging a hammer and making a mess, rather than trying to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, measure twice, as they say, or design twice. Make sure you measure once. If you don't design it, you're not even measuring it one time.
No,
really,
you're not.
right? Yeah. So you're doing a discovery call, I'll call it, with you, and you kind of see if you're a fit to work with. And then the next step after that would be going out to the property and doing a kind of free consultation, we'll call it. And then you move to a design agreement. And I think you said 2% of what you think the total cost is going to be off of not a full design, but 2%-ish of that full design to get your full design done is the next part. So let's stop there and talk about that full design part. Okay. You mentioned 3D rendering and all that stuff. Is it like we see on TV, like when they look at the 3 houses on HGTV and they say this, 3 dumps, and this is what this one could look like, this is what this one could look like, this is what this one could look like? Is it that type of thing? Is it that realistic when you look at the renderings?
It's exactly what it is. It's fully realistic. There's some we've done some great Facebook posts in the past where we've done some comparisons between what the design rendering looked like and what the finished project looked like, and they are remarkably similar. They're generally identical, with the only exception being that sometimes people will pick out a different light fixture than the one that we have in the design rendering. But it's really just those sort of finished details. Everything else, from the layout and the cabinetry, whatever it happens to be, is all identical in there. And so it's quite a process to get people through that design phase. I usually tell people, depending on the size of the project, to allow at least 3 months, and sometimes even a little bit longer. My designer and I will come out, we'll get full measurements of everything that's in the house right now. And then we build, in this program called Chief Architect, we build their as-builts, which is basically what they have now. It's just a computer model of their house as it stands. And then our designer will take all the notes that we took during the design consultation, and we'll start making changes to the house in the Chief Architect program. Once she feels like she has it, roughly where she wants it to be to present to the clients, we'll bring them back into our office. We'll put that design up on the big screen. We can walk people through it, almost like you would do as a realtor. I'm sure you have some video walkthroughs. We can do something very similar to that through the 3D design rendering. Show them pictures of it from whatever angle they want to see. And then we'll get feedback from them. There's always collaborative efforts between the designer and the clients. And so we'll get feedback from them during that meeting. And then we'll take that feedback and make adjustments to the plans, and then have them come back out again. We walk through it another time and get more feedback and make changes. Usually 2 or 3 of those meetings, we have everything kind of dialed in. But we won't start estimating until we have the client's approval that, the design that they're looking at, that's what they want their end product to be.
So you're basically making a virtual dollhouse of their house. Is that what I'm understanding? That's the first step in the virtual design process?
Yep.
Kind of like Matterport, if any realtors out there, or if you ever bought a house and heard Matterport, it's this, kind of seeing it slices off the roof, and you can see the rooms, you can click and zoom to the room and all that kind of stuff. So so you produce a 2D, a regular photos, probably also a 2D, 3D, everything D rendering of it, including something you can walk through. Is there an augmented reality or a virtual reality version? So those are 2 different things. Let me clarify. The virtual reality is, does it work with Oculus or a phone in one of those devices or whatever to actually walk through a thing? And then the augmented reality would be if you could picture different furniture in it, or click a button and change things within a room, or within their own room, I guess, if they were looking and change something. So 2 questions. So virtual reality and augmented reality.
We don't really do much with the virtual reality pieces. That I believe that Chief Architect is capable of putting it on the phone and putting it in one of the devices where you can look through. But what we found is people seem to see it better when we just do it on the big screen for the presentations in the office. As far as the augmented, we can change, kind of in real time when we're talking with them, anything in there that we want. We can switch furniture out, wall colors, flooring colors, anything like that, so they can kind of see what it might look like with their specific furniture in there, or something that they may be thinking about buying for it that we wouldn't necessarily buy for them if it's furniture, but they can see what it will look like and how that living room might lay out and how, how their dining table might look in there and some of those things.
So is that something you could do on a Zoom meeting? Like you could have a meeting and pull it up and actually, hey, we want to see the blue carpet, and you could do it.
Yeah, it's nice to get people in the office, but we can do all that via Zoom. We've done projects for people who have been stationed overseas in the military and bought houses and they want renovations to it. And we met them once in person at the beginning of the project, and we got to walk through the house, and then we never saw them in person again until everything was finished and they were moving in. And so everything can be done on Zoom. We have a really great project management software called Co-Construct that everyone gets a login into. And so we will put screenshots and all these renderings and stuff into Co-Construct as well. So even once people have left our office or have left the Zoom meeting, they can still access all of those things. And what we tend to find is we tell people, don't give us all your feedback until you've had about a week to sit with this, because they will always come up with something else. And so we'll go through the meeting, show them all the ideas that we've had, get some feedback from them there, and then send them back with all of these renderings and screenshots in Co-Construct. And then they can sit around with a glass of wine in the evenings and kind of think it through a little bit more. And then we usually get some really good, well thought out feedback at that point once they've had some time to process it.
Yeah, and one nice succinct list instead of 50 emails of change this, change this. I want especially with the bigger new construction homes, the emails, how the builders keep all these homes and all these custom houses straight and mess up. There's always a little mess ups, but way less than I would think there would be with all these changes and things going on.
Yeah. If you have your systems really dialed in, you can manage it well. And that Co-Construct program really helps us to keep that organized. Everyone has their own project, their schedules are in there, their contracts are in there, all the photos of the before photos, anything that we do during the process of, during the demo process, we'll get pictures of everything that's behind the walls. We'll do 360 photos before we put drywall back on, so that, even in 5 years in the future, if they say, we decided we wanted to put another switch in here or an outlet, they can log back into Co-Construct, find that 3D photo with nothing on the walls, and know exactly where the electric wires are run or the plumbing is run or anything like that.
That's awesome. So everything's fully transparent. And I guess with what you're doing, the people a lot of times are living there anyway. So they're seeing it every night and seeing your progress and knowing It's not like a new construction house where it's kind of, you don't see any of it and then it's just there and who knows what happened while you were doing it.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that are living there through the process. We do a couple times a year, we'll have major whole home renovations where people are just moving out. It's easier for them to just rent a place for 6 months. But we've done quite a few historic properties where people are, really taking these older 17 or 1800s homes and want to completely restore them ground up. And in those cases, we often just recommend that they move out. It's very stressful to try to live through it when the entire house is being done. If we're just renovating someone's kitchen or putting on an addition or a basement, those are pretty easy to live through. But some of those major ones, people will head on out for a while.
Yeah, and it's not just hard for them, it's hard for you too, because then you have to make certain adaptations for them to still be able to live there and put, seal the door so the dust doesn't go into that room, but otherwise you could just let it go or whatever. That's a good, let's talk about the range of kind of like size of jobs or the types of jobs that you look for if anybody's out there and identifies with it. How small do you go to? Sounds like you do a whole house. Do you build houses? So small to big, what kind of jobs are you looking for?
So we try not to do much of anything below around $75,000, which is, kind of a full kitchen gut and redo. Sometimes it's a really fancy master bathroom plus, a closet or a master bedroom suite. What we found over the years is that anything much below that, it's harder for us to be cost competitive. There's always some smaller contractors out there that are, one or two guys on a truck, and they just don't have the overhead or the systems that we have in place. And so with some of those small jobs, they can do a really great job, but they get bogged down in the bigger ones. And so we try to focus mostly on larger scale remodeling. So like I said, about 75,000 and up, which is kitchens.
Oh no, we lost Ross. He's coming back. I think he turned his camera off. Are you still there, Ross? Ross. Let's see. A couple people watching. Hang in there. Ross is coming back. I'm sure he is. I'm going to start looking up his phone number right now. See if he's going to come back. He might be able to hear me, and he's probably like, oh, I'm going. See if I can remove him. Ross was telling us about how much a kitchen costs, and I was just about to ask him. So he mentioned $75K average kitchen cost, and I know you can do a kitchen for less than that. So I was about to ask him how much or how like the average square foot house or what kind of kitchen he's talking about. I'm guessing that's like a 3,000 square foot plus house that has a bigger kitchen, maybe a little bit more high end. But $75K with the way prices have been these days, maybe that is just the average. Now he's gone for good. Let's see. Is he going to come back? We'll wait a couple minutes. I'll try to stall. Did he call? No, that's not him that called. All right. Well, I'm going to start closing it out unless he comes back in here. I'm going to start closing it out. You heard him. He goes from anywhere from the $75K kitchen remodel up from there to a whole house remodel, it sounds like, or a renovation of an old property even. So even if it's not, it sounds like they can actually, oh, he's back. He's back.
Sorry about that. Apparently my computer came unplugged and I wasn't aware of it.
All good. I have a process. I just start closing it out basically, but my closeout is long enough that if you're going to get back here, you can get back here. Exactly. So it sounds like you were saying about the 70. I was saying while you were out that it sounded like you said $75K for the average kitchen. So I'm wondering what that average kitchen is. Is that like a 3,000 square foot ish house plus, or what kind of job, so I could picture it and people out there could picture it?
So I would say average kitchen is probably a little bit more than that. Let me back that up a little bit. So if we are doing a kitchen, it's usually not for someone who is just looking for the exact same layout that they have, but new cabinets and countertops. There are some better places you can go for that. You can go directly to kind of a kitchen showroom, and they can handle all that, and they can do a great job of it. Where we kind of come in and you're looking at that 75 number and up, is often we're redoing the entire layout of the kitchen. So we're kind of ripping everything out, the stove, the sink, the refrigerator, everything's going to be in different locations. We're often also taking out a wall or two. People want to kind of open the floor plan up so they have, whoever it is that's doing the cooking and spending the most time in the kitchen doesn't feel like they're isolated from the rest of the family. And so we're often taking out some walls. And so those projects are usually in that 75 to 100 range, depending on how fancy the actual kitchen materials are. But it's not just the kitchen. If people just want the kitchen, there's, and just cabinetry and countertops, there's usually some other options. And I tell people that all the time when they call me. We don't want to take on jobs just because people are coming in. So if people call and reach out to us and it feels like there's some other contractors out there that are going to be a better fit for them, I have a whole phone list of other contractors that I commonly refer things to, whether it's a smaller scale project or whether it's just something like that kitchen where maybe they're going to be a better fit with a cabinet supplier.
Yeah, so you're actually changing floor plans and actually making architectural changes, not just like you said, just replacing the cabinets. Sink goes exactly where the sink was, plumbing stays right there, dishwasher goes where the dishwasher was, and all that kind of stuff. You're actually moving all that thing and just acting as if it's a completely blank slate. Do you actually do that in the design? Like when you make the dollhouse, do you give them just a white blank room in the dollhouse to kind of look at and design? Do they mess with moving the walls around with you?
So they can. Oftentimes people who aren't experienced in this don't have as good of an idea on what's going to work best for them. We get a lot of calls from people who say, we know we want a new kitchen. Here's one or two ideas that we had. But then we take a lot of time, our designer and I will take a lot of time to kind of pull out of them how they live, how they use their house. Do they have kids? How old are the kids? Are they hosting parties at holidays? Or they have, they entertaining a lot? What stage of life are they in? And so once we get some of that information, we can often design something that far exceeds what they were expecting, and may not be anything close to what they were originally coming to us with. So they might, clients might come to us and say, okay, well, here's an idea we had. We were thinking maybe if we put an island here and, open this wall up a little bit. And then once our designer gets in there and really starts tinkering with it in the chief architect software, she may look at it and go, we can do that. We'll show that to them as an option. But here's another option that we were also thinking that might work better. And 95% of the time they go with the option that the designer came up with, which is not necessarily what they were thinking initially.
Yeah, and you know how much things cost too. So a consumer doesn't know that let's just move that wall over there. We'll move that over. Well, wait, you said you wanted to stay within this budget, and if we move that over there, we're going to have to do this, and that's going to cost too much. So you have a lot of information they don't have, and also a professional designer will make sure things are functional too. We've all, as any other realtors out there, you've showed that house where it was like some surgeon that just had tons of money or whatever. Sorry, any surgeons out there. Surgeons are great, whatever. Somebody that makes a lot of money and they had too much money and nobody was telling them not to do something. And he was just going to the architect, put a pulpit up there, put this over there, put two sinks right here and nothing. And then you show the house and they think it's $1 million house. And you say nothing. We're gonna have to redo it. It's weird, and it's just somebody went haywire on it. So I like that you kind of take charge of that, and it makes sense that people would want you to kind of take charge of that process and then just have their input in it. So once you do all the designing and they commit to a design, how long right now is it taking to do stuff? So if somebody came to you today, when could they do an average job that you do? How long would that take from calling you today to the end of the job being done?
So if they call today, we'd get them into that design agreement, start working through the design. I typically tell people figure on around 3 months from the time they sign the design agreement. So they call today and it's a week or two until we actually get out there to do that initial consultation visit. Then you've got about 3 months after that of just design stuff and working through all that. And then the contracts themselves, we try to just do kind of first come, first serve. Sometimes people will come to us and say, okay, we know we want to do this. We're signing the contract, but we don't want to start until after the holidays or until the kids are out of school or whatever it happens to be. They have some specific time of year they want to do it. But average, right now, we get through the design agreement. That's 3 months. We probably have another 2 to 3 months of pre-construction. Lead times on materials right now are extremely long. And so we want to make sure we have time to not only get it ordered and in, but it also takes time for them to make all those selections for all those light fixtures or the faucets or the specific tile that they're going to use in the bathroom or whatever it happens to be. And so we've got, 2 to 3 months of pre-construction and then call it another 3 months of construction. So from, calling today until people are finished, you're probably for an average project, a major kitchen renovation, first floor renovation, you're probably looking at about 9 months.
And so for those of people out there that haven't done a major renovation project, if say somebody got the sink that you got the faucet in that they picked and they didn't like it and they wanted to go with the brass one instead of the brushed nickel one that they chose, how does that work? Do they have to pay for both or do you send it back? Is there padding in the estimate for that? How does that work for change orders?
If we can return it, then there won't be any additional cost for it. Whatever the cost difference between the first one they chose and what they actually went for, as long as we can get it returned. And most of our vendors we can return things to. We try really hard, which is why we have the whole design team. We have a woman whose whole job it is to go through with clients and help pick out all of these things, these selections. So not only
physically,
do you work with the team,
physically,
depends on what people want. So Contessa, the kind of interior design side, she doesn't do as much on the architectural side for the initial plans, but once you've signed a contract, she will work with you to pick out all of those things that you need to do, the faucets, the paint colors, the tile, the specific floor color that you're going to use. Some of our clients want to go to the showroom for everything and want to be able to see it and touch it and have samples of it. And if that's what they want, that's fine. We can do that. A lot of clients have no interest in that. They want to be able to sit around on the couch with a glass of wine or a beer and be sent pictures that they can look at in the evening, and they'll pick it all out online. And so we can really kind of do either one. But with that system, that has eliminated pretty much all of that. Oh, we picked this out, but now we don't like it, because they have a chance to really see everything. We can take the other thing that Contessa will do as she's working with those clients on selections. If they pick out the, whatever Kohler faucet is that they picked out, whatever model number, she can then take that and put it in the bathroom in Chief Architect in the software, so they can see what that specific one will look like.
And that showroom, is that your showroom or is the Lowe's, or what? How does it work for selections? And can people just pick things from anywhere in the world? I mean, I'm sure they can if they want to pay for it, but how does that work? Is this showroom and they have to pick like with, I'm not going to name it, like some new homes. It's like, here's the selections. That's all you can do. And if you want something else after you own it, you can change it.
It's a fully custom process. So they can really pick just about anything. There are places where we'll try to steer people away from, Lowe's and Home Depot being the top of that list. The products.
Sorry for saying that. I knew that was going to come from you. Any plumber or anything, you get a plumber and they're like, "Where did you get this toilet?"
Yeah, that's a good segue. Lowe's and Home Depot.
Figures. That's the good answer, right?
Yeah. They have to manufacture at a certain price point, and so their products are often made a little bit cheaper, even if the skin on it, so to speak, is kind of the same, your faucets and everything else. So we have a couple different plumbing showrooms in the area. We have a couple online vendors that deal with nicer, higher end stuff, both for lighting, for plumbing. Flooring is often something that we go to. We do have a showroom at our office in Carlisle, so we can pull in a lot of different things. So if we know, people are looking at this specific type of cabinet, we have samples of a lot of those cabinets. So we can pull that out and bring that with us then to the flooring showroom so that we can use that to kind of compare what it's going to look like. And so that's part of the process. If we're going to the showroom, we will also often put together just kind of digital pages of what all the finishes in a specific room will look like. And so we'll pull all those in and put them in one document. So you can see, this is what the floor you're talking about for this bathroom, for instance. This is your floor. This is your vanity. This is your finish for your hardware for the faucets. This is the tile that you're looking at for the tub. And you can kind of get a sense of how those will all play together in a room.
And a lot of times the most popular things are, you probably have a sample of these are the most popular ones. And then if there's something else, but a lot of people probably go with similar stuff. And I'm hoping is gray going out of style? Actually, that's my next question before we go to the random question that has nothing to do with anything. I want to close it out with a couple of tips from you. So just random. Well, let's start with tell people how they prepare to meet with you. So is there anything that people can do before they reach out to you?
Sure. One thing that can be really helpful is to spend some time going through Google Photos or Pinterest or whatever other type of online service that you like, and save some in a file on your computer somewhere. That way, when we come and sit down and talk to you, you have some things in there, and make a little note with each photo. Really loved the cabinets in here. We love the countertops here. We liked the flooring here. We liked the paint color. That gives our design team a better sense of kind of where they're coming from and what their sense of style is from for their home and what they want. We can kind of tell a good bit just by the way that they have decorated their current space is very helpful, but having those photos is a good step in the right direction. The other thing that's really helpful for us is to know kind of what your must-haves are. We must have an extra bedroom. We must have an island with seating for 6, or, whatever it is. If you have a few things that you absolutely know you want to have in this that are make or break, write those down, make sure we know what those are. And then you can have a separate list that's kind of the, if we can afford it list. It would be really nice to have this if it works in the design.
What's a good tip? That'd be a good tip. If you're trading dollars, what do you usually trade? You get a cheaper oven to get better cabinets, or is there any, when people kind of trade dollars around within a budget, how does that go usually?
So there's a few things that you can go a little bit less expensive on the front end and aren't too hard to change out later on. And so, don't bother putting in the backsplash in the kitchen. That's something that is going to cost almost the exact same amount to put in later as it will be while we're doing the process. It doesn't impact anything whatsoever. So just pull that out. Get the rest of the stuff done that you want. The countertops, you usually want to have what you want in there, especially if you are putting in a backsplash, because then you can't pull the countertop out once you have the backsplash in there without damaging the stuff. Cabinetry, you can sacrifice some stuff on cabinetry and still get really good, well-made cabinets, as long as you're willing to have a little bit less on some of the fancier storage options in there. So we have 3 different cabinet manufacturers that we use, and the lowest one we use is still an all plywood cabinet. It's still a really well-built cabinet. And so if people are looking for a kitchen and they know they have a pretty specific budget, we'll try to steer them into that brand of cabinetry. And they just have to know that, instead of having 50 different door styles and 100 different paint and stain colors to choose from, they have 10 or 15 door styles and 25 paint or stain colors. So it limits some of their range a little bit, but they have the things that are the most popular. For years now, everybody has been loving the white shaker cabinets. They obviously have white shaker cabinets in that line. Gray, you mentioned earlier, that's becoming a popular one as well. Blues have gotten really trendy, not necessarily for the entire kitchen, but for islands and things like that. People will do some accent cabinets in those. I usually try to tell people to steer away from things that in 5 years will be completely out of trend and they're just trendy items, because they may regret it in 5 years.
Just get a plain block white cabinet, plain square edges, normal bevel, just black. I love white, just white, always good. And I tell these to people that are constructing new homes, one of the big things is the basement. You can get it, the 8 feet, the normal one that's low, and then you got to pay extra to get it higher. And I'm not finishing the basement right away, so I don't really care about that. I'd rather get the wood floors or the something up above the grade. And I always say, don't do that, because you can't lift your house up later. Let's put the extra couple feet in your basement, and it's going to make it better for resale. It's going to make it better and not feel like a cave when you finish it. But the flooring, even the cabinets, even all the other stuff in the house, you can change. So I love how you kind of point out that if trying to save money, you should save money on the things that are easily done later.
Yeah, don't short yourself on getting the electric and the plumbing done correctly behind the walls. You're going to pay for that down the road. Don't short yourself on the things that are hard to change.
Yeah, totally. And then any tips on trends right now? Design trends? Is the gray subway tile, gray, white, gray still in, or is there any trend?
Yeah, we have put in so many gray or white kitchens in the last 3 or 4 years, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And they look really nice. They're always kind of classic and crisp and clean. So I think we'll see some other stuff popping up, but I don't know that the white is really going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I like the white cabinets, but the gray, the gray cabinets, those and the blue cabinets, those are going to go out of style. I mean, they're nice, but they're going to go out of style. But then, like the flooring, is it going away from that gray faux barnwood that it was forever, that I hate because nobody's fooled into thinking it's barnwood?
No, we have not seen as much of that in the last year. I think that is starting to go away. We're seeing a lot more. The luxury vinyl plank has gotten extremely popular, and for good reason. It's an amazing floor. It's super durable. It looks nice. You can toss it in a bucket of water, and it still holds up. Unlike the Pergo stuff that was kind of its predecessor that delaminated and fell apart once you got it wet. But I'm seeing more people going with more kind of lighter brown wood tones instead of the gray weathered kind of beach boardwalk wood.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that everything else, the subway tile, the kitchen, everything else is kind of still the same, but the floors have now changed from that to the kind of dark brown, more of still a weathered kind of look, but the brown at least. So I'm liking that. I'd even like the orange wood to come back. Everybody, I don't want that orange 90s wood. I actually like it now. The other stuff I'm so sick of. And I like a real wood too, but with dogs or any kind of heels or anything, real wood sucks. Yeah. So, all right, let's go to our random question. Unless you have any other burning tips you'd like to give everybody before we do our random question that has nothing to do with nothing.
No, let's go for the random question. I'm excited.
All right. They are 350 on this list. So give me a number between 1 and 350, and it cannot be 25 or 350.
Okay. Let's go with 167.
Right in the middle almost. All right. 167. What's the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis? What's the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis? I like this question. I might ask this in a different mastermind group. This is fun.
This one's easy. So as I mentioned earlier, I always will have a phone call with clients before we schedule that meeting, because clients frequently have no good idea of what something costs. And so I hate giving people bad news, but at least once, often twice, 3 times a week, I'll have somebody call talking to me about a project that, might be 75,000, might be 150,000. And I ask them what they were thinking their budget was. And they say, oh, I thought it would be 15. And so that is always an awkward conversation when people hear that and they can't get off the phone fast enough. And it's always super embarrassing.
It's better to have that conversation ahead of time, though, than to spend a bunch of time and meet in person and come out to the house and all that. And then they say, oh, we got $2,000. We thought we could, you could paint these things and we'd be good. Yeah.
We had to do in-person conversations when we didn't screen them out well enough in advance. So.
Good for you. You start and then you learn your SOPs as you go. Well, we can't do that anymore. Let's change it up. So that's awesome. Let's put all your information up and say it out loud where people can find you. And actually, we'll put this up first. You give, like you said, a free design consultation. So you call, and if you're a fit to work together, then somebody will come out and you can get that free design consultation before the full consultation. So you can hit them up for that. Tell them where they can find you.
You can go to our website at buildsomethingcreative.com. You can email me at RossGarner@buildsomethingcreative.com, or you can give us a call. You can reach me directly at 717-385-3878. Any of those ways are going to be just fine. So just reach out to us, whatever you prefer, and we will reach back out and get something on the calendar to come talk to you.
So start blowing up his text right now. You said that's your mobile phone, your direct. You put it out there now.
There.
Yeah. There you go. At least the phones now, it says potential spam when the spam is calling.
Yeah, so I get a lot of spam calls.
Yeah, totally. All 15 years, my number's been public. So not good. All right. I will leave all that up so you guys can find Ross there, and a couple announcements. I don't know if you're interested in a business spotlight package, which consists of Greg coming out to your business, showing behind the scenes. He's actually doing one. He told me, I forget, I want to say like next week or a couple weeks from now, he's getting back into it. So if you want a business spotlight package, which consists of Greg coming out to your business, showing behind the scenes how the sausage is made, and then an interview here like you see with me and Ross, and then a networking mixer at your business if it makes sense. And we're still working those out. We're going to change up the format a little bit maybe on those things. And if you want to get all the special offers, you can join our email list, 1 email a week. Once I start paying for MailChimp and take that leap, I still haven't put my credit card in there yet, but it's good that we need to put the credit card in there yet. Our list has grown to it. So special offers, sign up for that email. You can go to supportcentralpa.com to sign up for that. If you're watching anywhere other than Facebook, if you're watching on LinkedIn or Instagram or listening on iTunes or anything, please head over to Facebook and join our Facebook group, Central PA Supports Small Business. That's where I found Ross, and I find a lot of other great Central PA small businesses, a lot of people getting business there. And if you need somebody to do a job, you can find somebody great to do that job like Ross or anybody else. Contact me if you need to buy or sell a home. Like I said, inventory is still short and we need inventory, but not quite as bad for buyers if you need to get out there. Call or text me if you need something. Email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We need inventory, and buyers need to get out there and look, because you can win houses now, and we know how to. Remember to support Central PA small business. Thanks for watching and listening. Thanks for bearing with me if anything was weird with this new equipment, new camera, new mic. Hopefully it was okay. And I'm doing a call to action every day, every episode. And Ross, this applies to you, and it doesn't have to be me, somebody, preferably somebody else, actually. Everybody watching, go out right now, find your favorite business on Google and give them a review. That's something we can all take action on. And every time you like somebody, give them a review. And that actually does boost them up and help them get actual business. So that's something tangible we can all do, or post about them and check in and all that stuff. But my call to action is go give a review. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Say goodbye, Ross.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you having me on.